Go ahead and check your browser tabs right now. I mean, really look at them. Those aren't just websites. They're the primary evidence of a cognitive crime scene where your focus is being murdered by the minute. You know that heavy, buzzing feeling in the back of your mind? Well, it's basically the mental equivalent of having 50 programs running in the background of your laptop while you're trying to render a high-def video. Your brain is overheating, and it's all because of what I call open loops. You and I are here today to conduct a forensic audit of your productivity. I've been looking into the data, and the reality is that every unfinished email, every "I'll do that later" task, and every half-read article is a leak in your cognitive tank. It's not just being busy, you see. It's a systematic drain on your mental bandwidth. I'm going to show you exactly why your brain refuses to let go of these tasks, and how that constant state of unread notifications is actually rotting your ability to think deeply from the inside out. But don't worry, this investigation doesn't end in a cold case. By the time we're done, I'm going to hand you my case closed list. This is the ultimate protocol I use to shut down those background programs for good, reclaim your focus, and finally give you back the mental peace you've been losing to the crime of the unfinished task. Stay with me, because we're about to solve the mystery of why you're so exhausted. Let's look at the evidence. Let's start by examining the crime scene of your daily workflow. I want you to look closely at the primary victim here, your productivity. I'm sure you recognize the symptoms. I mean, it's barely 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You've spent the morning toggling between browser tabs, answering a few Slack pings, and sitting through a meeting that definitely could have been an email, right? Technically, you haven't even started your real work yet. You know, those deep, high-value projects that actually move the needle for your career. And yet, you feel like you've just run a mental marathon. Your brain feels foggy, your patience is thin, and the thought of making one more simple decision feels like lifting a ton of lead. This is the signature of decision fatigue. And in our investigation, it's the first piece of evidence that a crime is being committed against your potential. As a working professional, your first instinct is probably to blame yourself. You think you need more caffeine, a better hustle mindset, or a stricter morning routine. But as your detective today, I'm looking at the suspects you've been conditioned to ignore. Every unfinished task in your life is what we call an open loop. That email you started at 9 a.m. but left sitting in your drafts. That's a loop. That text from your mom you read but haven't replied to. Loop. Even that flickering light bulb in the home office you need to change. That, you see, is a loop. I want you to think of your brain like a high-performance computer. You have a finite amount of RAM. That's your mental bandwidth. Each one of these unfinished tasks is like a background program running in secret. You might think you've put it off or forgotten it, but your subconscious is still dedicated to keeping that file open, waiting for a resolution. By mid-afternoon, you aren't exhausted because the work you did was hard. No. You're exhausted because your system is crashing from having 50 background tabs open at once. You're trying to run your most important life goals on a processor that's already overheated by the small stuff you haven't closed out. But here is where the mystery takes a dark turn. Most of us believe we're stressed because the tasks on our plate are difficult or important, right? We think our brain is weighed down by the gravity of our responsibilities. But after analyzing the data, I found that's a total misdirection. What if I told you your brain doesn't actually care about the task itself? I mean, it doesn't care if the email is a multi-million-dollar contract or just a lunch confirmation. It deducts it about the what. It only cares about the loop. And once you understand why your brain is obsessed with the unfinished over the important, you realize you've been fighting the wrong enemy all along. Let's look at the psychological glitch that's keeping your loops open. Think of your working memory as the high-speed RAM of your brain. You know, the stuff that keeps you moving. It's fact-focused. It's built for processing what's happening right now, not for long-term storage. But here's the forensic truth I've discovered in the data. An unfinished task doesn't just sit on your notepad, right? It migrates. It takes up permanent residence in your cognitive space. Every time you tell yourself, I'll do that later, you're not actually saving time. You're punching a hole in your cognitive fuel tank. I mean, literally. I need you to see this for what it really is. A leak. And the glitch, well, it's even deeper than that. Your brain, as sophisticated as it is surprisingly bad at prioritizing these loops. It's a design flaw. To your subconscious, that unread Slack message from your boss carries the same neurological weight as a major project deadline. Incredible. It doesn't distinguish between saving the world and, answering a lunch text. It treats every single open loop as a critical threat to your peace, simply because it's unresolved. This is why you feel exhausted by mid-afternoon, even if you haven't actually done much. You've been leaking energy since the moment you woke up. You're not running out of hours in the day. You're running out of mental fuel because your brain is trying to keep a dozen plates spinning at once. We've been looking at our to-do list all wrong. It isn't a productivity tool. In this state, it's a stress list. Every bullet point is a forensic marker of where your focus is being siphoned off. To regain your genius and get back into that high-performance flow, you don't need a better planner. You need to stop the cognitive leakage by closing the case on your own.
But how do we stop the leak without actually finishing every single tiny task right this second? I found that there is a specific back door in your psychology, one that lets you close the loop without even completing the task. However, there was one detail everyone missed about this technique, a detail that, if ignored, actually makes the brain rot even worse. That missing detail I mentioned, the one that determines whether you're actually solving the problem or just, rearranging the deck chairs on a sinking ship. It comes down to a forensic approach I call the 4-step case closing protocol. This is the exact system I use to help high performers regain their cognitive edge, to get back on top of their game. I want you to start with step 1, the evidence dump. Find a quiet corner, grab a physical notepad, and spend exactly 10 minutes writing down every single should do, half done, or forgot to task currently haunting your subconscious. I mean, everything. From that massive quarterly report, right down to the fact that you need to buy more light bulbs. You need to get the evidence out of your head and onto paper. Think of this as securing the crime scene. See, if the data is living in your brain, it's consuming power. Once it's on the page, the brain feels it can safely release that grip. Next, you move to step 2, the 2-minute execution. In the world of high performance, this is the equivalent of dusting for prints. It's quick, it's essential, and it clears the static. Look at your evidence dump. If a loop can be closed in under 120 seconds, I'm talking a quick confirmation text, a 30-second bill payment, or filing a single document, I want you to do it immediately. These tiny open loops are like microfractures in your focus, right? By closing them now, you stop the cognitive leakage and prove to your brain that you are back in control of the investigation. For the bigger, more complex files, we use step 3, the scheduled arraignment. Look, you can't finish a 3-week project in one sitting, and your brain knows that. This is exactly why it keeps screaming at you at 3 a.m. You've been there, haven't you? To silence it, you must assign these tasks a specific court date in your calendar.
The psychological breakthrough here is that your brain doesn't actually require the task to be completed to stop stressing. It just needs a credible, trusted plan for when it will be handled. Once the case is on the docket, the background processing finally shuts down. Finally, you must implement step 4, the nightly shutdown. Before you leave your desk or close your laptop, I want you to write your case closed list for the day. This isn't a standard to-do list. Actually, it's a formal signal to your neurochemistry that the investigation is officially over. By labeling what was accomplished and what is safely scheduled for later, you allow your brain to enter a state of recovery rather than remaining in high alert mode all night. This protocol is how the most effective people I know maintain their stamina, while everyone else is drowning in mental clutter. But even with a perfect protocol, there's one silent witness in your daily routine that is sabotaging your progress without you even realizing it. It's a habit that feels productive, but actually acts as a Trojan horse for more brain rot. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still feel exhausted, well, this is likely why.
I've laid out the evidence, and frankly, the conclusion is undeniable. You see, you aren't just a worker drowning in a sea of to-do lists. From this moment on, I want you to see yourself as a high-performance closer. You're the lead investigator of your own life, right? And you know better than anyone that an open case is a massive liability to your cognitive health. When you start closing these loops with surgical precision, the transformation is immediate. The constant mental static, that phantom vibration of unfinished business, it finally goes silent. I'm talking about a level of mental clarity that feels like a superpower, a brain that is fully present because it's no longer haunted by the ghosts of yesterday's tasks. You deserve that quiet. You deserve to finish your day without feeling like your brain is actually rotting from the inside out. So, I'm putting the magnifying glass in your hands now. Which loop are you closing first today? Whether it's that awkward email you've been dodging or a project you've been procrastinating on, commit to it right now in the comments. I want to see exactly what we're tackling first. If you're ready to master the forensics of your own mind and stop the brain rot for good, then hit that subscribe button and join our forensic productivity community here at Power of Mindset. Together, we'll continue to solve the mysteries of the high-performance mind, one breakthrough at a time. Our work here is done, for now. Case closed.